Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Take This, a sports podcast. Hope everyone had a very nice holiday, Thanksgiving. Hopefully you didn't spend it watching the Lions, because let me tell you, that ruined part of my day. But luckily I moved on from it. And hopefully you did better things like spend time with your family and weren't yelling about politics and vaccines. Brad, how are you? How was your Thanksgiving weekend?
Oh, it was great. It was great. You know, I was watching the Lions game. Listen, and I at the end, I was like laughing. I was just like,
it was hilarious. I mean,
just the fact that the Bears, just drained the clock while they kick a field goal for like that 8-yard line. Like
8 minutes and 31 seconds to end the game. I mean, that was key. That doesn't happen in the NFL.
I kept laughing. I really just kept laughing. I was figures. Yep. I mean, they are really gonna have zero wins.
Yeah, we'll talk about Dan Campbell in a little bit, but I want to start off with well, we'll get to football in a bit. We want to do a little bit of. Let's do a little bit of.
We haven't done baseball in so long.
A little bit of. We haven't, and I know you're the baseball guy, and I
am the baseball guy,
and I like baseball. That's not to say I don't, but let's talk a little bit about baseball because we got a very, very heavy football, especially college football show. So, but yeah, let's quickly talk about some of these free agent signings.
I want to talk about Baez real quick. Okay.
Yep, the new Detroit Tiger.
Right. So Javier Baez spent last year, obviously, with the Cubs, but then he got traded to the Mets for Pete Crow Armstrong, the fifth ranked prospect in the Mets organization. So he went to Chicago, and it's actually not a bad trade, especially since Pete Crow Armstrong was I think it was out with shoulder surgery. So he was already kind of delayed with his development. So the Mets giving away that was actually not a big deal. And I don't think that it is a big deal. A lot of people are talking about how this is kind of indicative of the Mets being bad at their job, when that's not really the case, because they had a different general manager, a different GM is going to want to do different things. And so it's not surprising that the Mets did not sign him, not because they didn't want him, but because
they tried, but
it's a different guy. It's a different guy. They just got a Billy Epler as GM. So expecting Billy Epler to try to defend or go after Zach Scott's guys, that's not something that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? A new GM is gonna have different ideas about the future and direction and stuff like that. So the fact that they didn't keep Baez is not surprising, and they already have McNeil at second base, and they just got Starling Marte in center field. They just got
the Mets really didn't give up much, right? I mean, the Cubs got a prospect because it was time for them to tear down.
And so well, exactly. So now, and I want to talk about this real quick with Baez, is that people are freaking out. So I know you don't like Baez.
So I want to preface this. I don't dislike. I was very upset with the signing because I wanted Correa,
right?
But it's really has nothing to do with the players. I mean, I know I mentioned Baez. In talk radio this week, people were talking about how if you break down his analytical numbers on offense, at least at the plate, he has comparable numbers to Jonathan Scope. And I know he's not Jonathan Scope. He's much better on defense, but then you look at his numbers versus Correa's on defense. But none of that even matters to me because my issue is deeper than that, right? Baez will come here and he's going to be exciting and I'll take it. But my issue is philosophical with the Detroit Tigers, Chris Ilitch, and Al Avila, and their refusal to make this baseball team a legitimate one again. We are the Detroit Tigers, one of the most classic baseball teams in the country. I mean, it's not the LA Dodgers, it's not New York Yankees, but it's in that tier below, right? It's with the Cubs and the Mets, those kind of teams were still a big market, still a classic team, one of the best logos in all of sports, right? There's a lot of prestige and heritage. And my issue is they said they were going to spend, and they got, realistically, probably the fourth best shortstop that was in free agency, and that's all they did. Now, you go get, oh, God, what's his name? He signed with the Rangers. Marcus Semien, and you get Javi Baez, because Semien can play second. We're talking. My pitch is totally different, and I'm not saying they had to go out and do what the Texas Rangers did and give $500 million away in a day, but to only get Baez, and yes, Eduardo Rodriguez is a nice pitcher signing, but here's the issue, and this is the case with Erod and Baez. Their contracts are not very good for us in the long term.
They're not favorable at all.
They have a 2-year out. After 2 years, they have an out if they want to go. If they bounce back in their careers, they can just leave. And if they do, they probably are, because this team won't be ready to win then, and they can go get more money elsewhere.
Right, and they can go
and
go play for
Baez
a World Series
every
contender.
year can pick 10 teams to block a trade to, so he won't go to any of the bottom feeders or whatever teams. So you're already shrinking that market if he ever did need to move on, because whatever the reason, he's not playing well, he's being a cancer, or he just doesn't want to be here because he's playing really well and wants to play for a competitor. So it's just the lack of care, Baez will be fine, and the fact that he's going to be a top guy here, Detroit is not New York, in the fact that it's going to be a much friendlier market. So I don't think booing, like that, all that stuff that happened, it's not going to happen here. I still didn't like all of that with that, but I mean, I didn't like the situation, period.
I also didn't, I mean, and you could probably go back and listen to my thoughts on that. I guess there's a difference between booing your own players and booing it in the metaphorical sense of like booing the team, right? Like I don't have a problem with
like when Lions fans
boo,
they boo the team.
They boo the team and the ownership, right? Whereas like if you're out in New York, like I was watching a Mets game where JD Davis made 2 errors, right? In the field. And like I get it, like that's unacceptable. Like, you can't, like you don't make 2 errors in a game like back to back, right? Like that doesn't look great. But the fans go out and boo him, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, what purpose does that serve? Like that, it doesn't really make any sense to me. And I get it. You're frustrated. You want more from the team, but like I don't really have anything to say to people who like boo their own players, even though. If the team is like incompetent, like I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Pirates, I'm looking at teams that haven't been relevant for the better half of like their existence, like the Lions or even the Bears. The Bears, they get booed every once in a while, and I understand it because they haven't been good since the 80s. You know what I mean? So so you know what I mean? Like there's that there at a certain point there's a breaking point for fans, and I think that when you have like new ownership, there should be some sort of like revitalization, and I don't think that Steve Cohen has done anything up until just recently to change that sort of direction. So I guess like I'm not surprised that like a guy came here, was pissed that like he's getting booed for whatever, because again, like Baez is everything that you expected you got from Baez. He's an exciting player. He hits a shit ton of home runs, but he also has a lot of strikeouts, and it comes and goes. It's very inconsistent.
He strikes out like it's like 36%.
It's 30. It's the strikeout shit is 31% since 2019. The funniest
I think it was
part
36% in this last year. And that's the thing.
It's hilarious.
And I think that's, again, if you got Baez and someone else, it would be one thing. And especially because and everyone's like, oh, this is the Tigers being fiscally responsible, not signing Correa to a super long deal like they did with Miggy. We signed Miggy to that stupid contract when he was 32. And he was already coming out of his prime.
That was a terrible
and the only reason they did that was to spite Max Scherzer, because he didn't take our money and went to Washington. Also, Correa is 27. He's turning 27. He'll be 27.
He's only 27.
He's going into his prime. That's how good he is. And so, you give him the 10-year deal, yeah, he's gonna be 37 by the end of it when he's coming down out of it. But that's Miggy's dropped off, but Miggy's also a way different player. Miggy had a lot of off the field issues, alcohol issues, and he got really out of shape. Correa, I don't think would have that same trajectory. No. And the thing is, you could pay him. You could have paid Correa, and you would have still had a below league average payroll, especially in 2 years when Miggy's off the books. You'll still only be at probably $60 million, if that, because of how low their payroll is. So,
I remember watching.
You could sign Correa, and then by the time it comes to sign Torque and Green to big deals, you'd have plenty of cap space to do it. Also, there's no cap. There's no cap in baseball. There's a luxury tax, but you're telling me Chris Ilitch couldn't pay for that? Little Caesars couldn't pay the luxury tax?
We're also not asking him to pay the luxury tax. You know how much it's $200 million of your payroll. The Tigers, right now is at 72, and they have...
And most of that's Miggy. It's like 40
half
of
that is Miguel Cabrera. They aren't paying anyone. So, it's a non-issue. The luxury tax is a non-issue because, they're not even in sight of it. Because very rarely will teams ever get up to that much.
Also,
we're talking about
that
Yankees,
argument,
the Mets.
Yeah, that argument about the age, by the way, the whole thing of he's, I don't want to have a guy here when he's 37 and paying him that much. You realize Baez will be 37 when his contract is over. You gave him 6 years. He's going to be 36 when it's over. Yeah. So it's I'm just that argument. If you're glad Baez is here, awesome. I know you're a fan of him, and I hope I'm wrong. When I talk about
Javier
this shit,
Baez experience it's an emotional roller coaster.
But the thing is,
I want you to know that
he's gonna so many Tigers fans have. We haven't been good, right? And we're already a team that has an extremely high strikeout rate. So if he hits a home run on the other ones, here it'll be forgiven because it's oh, hey, shit. Well, yeah, he's just the strikeouts have stayed the same, but the home runs have gone up by 10%. So we'll take it. I just it's really not even anything against Baez, or it's everything against Al Avila and Chris Ilitch and them being cheap and not being for real about this team. And again, I hope I'm wrong. I so badly want Al Avila to prove me wrong. I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
You want to hear something hilarious? So I remember watching Javier Baez play for the Mets, right? And this is, I swear to God, I will never forget this at bat. It is one of the most memorable at bats that I've ever seen. So Baez takes, he was playing Miami, right? I think this is in Miami. I can't remember. Anyway, he takes a strike right down the middle. And that's fine, right? Okay, you want to set yourself up, whatever. Then the next 3 straight pitches are up and in, outside of the zone, and he swings right through every single one of them. Not a single one is close, but he took a pitch right down the middle and proceeded to swing at 3 straight pitches outside the zone. And I could not stop. I could just not stop laughing. It was
that's all you can do.
Comedy. It was comedy. And it won't be if your team's contending for a title, then yeah, that is downright frustrating. But
that's the thing. Hilarious. We aren't going to be, right? Especially if that's the only move we made,
Well, exactly. And the Tigers need more pitching. You want to tell me that I think that if Matt Manning is in this if Matt Manning is in the starting rotation, then this team's got problems. Because you should have enough pitching depth.
He looked okay towards the end of the season. I actually saw him live, the one Tiger game I went to last year. He was the starter. He gave up 1 earned run, I think, and he looked actually no, did he even give up a run? I can't remember now. I think he gave up 1 earned run, and it was he had a really good outing, and that's obviously only one. It was against the Blue Jays too.
He's definitely got potential. But do you want to hear the service time of every right now?
My concern is Mize. His service time's going to go way up, isn't it?
So no, I'm not really worried about service time with rookies, okay? But I want to talk to you about the veteranship on this team, okay? So outside of Eduardo Rodriguez, right? So you got Casey Mize, who I don't know who starts opening day now. I would just put Mize in. Because
he's gonna be the future. Yeah.
Well, right, exactly. So you got Casey Mize, who is younger than me. Okay, you got Tarek Skubal, who's younger. I'm 26, by the way. Okay, so every pitcher on this team is younger than I am. Except, not every single one, but Matt Manning is born in 98. Tarek Skubal's born in 96. Casey Mize born in 97. Not a single one, I think, has more than 2 years of service time. So that's 3 pitchers right there. Who else? Spencer Turnbull, and Eduardo Rodriguez.
A dead guy.
So you got. So, I guess I don't have a problem. I think that Mize and Skubal are your guys, and I think that Matt Manning. I don't know. What do you really bring him up here opening day? I don't know what to do.
I don't know. Matt's a guy.
Start him in AAA. There's nothing wrong with that. You brought him up here because of injury. Send him back down when you can get some more free agent pitching. That's all I could. That's all I could.
So to wrap this up, the Tigers will be better than last year, without a doubt. Baez will. I think his WAR is 4.5, so they'll be probably 5 games better with him, and Erod probably adds 500. I think around there. I mean, that's the Hinch effect, right? And you get what's that dude's name?
And what AJ Hinch is out after 2022 if he wants, right?
He literally can be done after this year. That was my other concern with not getting Correa, is appeasing him. My thing is, I don't care who he wants. I don't care how. I don't care if you you were talking to me. Correa and Baez's numbers had similar numbers in WAR
with WAR and stuff like that. Yeah,
but I think that's probably the biggest value, right? Is keeping that manager and keeping Hinch, because keeping him is literally the biggest thing for your team. You lose Hinch, you just lost 30 more games.
Right.
I think it's that drastic. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So I want to get into college football really, really, really bad.
Yes.
So I have a new segment. It's called the Michigan Fans Therapy Session.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Let's recap everything that happened in rivalry week, and then in who you got. We have a big slate for all the championship
Before we get into that, I want to read you a tweet. Okay, I want to read you a tweet real quick. Okay.
Okay. I'm afraid. Michigan Fan Therapy Session. I did not sign up for this.
So I want to read you a tweet. Well, this has nothing to do with. Well, it does, but it doesn't. So it just came across my timeline. So Iowa right now in basketball is playing Purdue, I think. Okay. Iowa's playing Purdue, and Michigan football is playing Iowa on Saturday. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right now, Iowa stands, if Iowa wins either of these teams, so only Iowa stands between Purdue basketball being ranked number 1 for the first time in AP history, because Duke lost. So now that Duke lost, Purdue can jump in at number 1. Okay. Because they're number 2 right now. So if Iowa beats Purdue, they're not going to be number 1. But Michigan, if Michigan wins, if Michigan loses to Iowa, they would now not win their first Big Ten title since 2004. So it's just funny. It's like we are all Hawkeyes this week. I'm not, and I'll get into that, but I'm not that type of person. But I just think that's hilarious that Iowa has to stand between destiny right now. Anyway, let's get into this Michigan fan thing. Let's recap. Let's do it. Michigan beat Ohio State.
42-27.
42-27. They didn't just beat Ohio State. They fucking killed them. And that's great. We love that. I love to see that. I don't really care, actually. I'm not finally,
I have never felt so good. The dopamine was filling my brain so much.
So I know you're happy. So I have a question for you. Now, Jim Harbaugh took 6 years to get here, okay? He's not even great. It's the weird part to me is that he's underperformed so much. with like everything, right? But one game he beat Ohio State, right? Not only did there's not a single second in that game where I did not think that Michigan was the better team.
Yeah, I mean, no, you play the. Here's the thing. Looking back on it, I was anxious because as a Michigan fan, we had a propensity for choking games. So,
I was like, when's it going to happen? I was waiting for it. And I was like, when's it going to happen?
And it never stopped. They had technically, they had 0 snaps on third down. They had technically 2 third downs that were penalties, so they were no plays, so they technically never took a real snap on third down.
You want to know
but even
just
then,
how
they
dominant?
Had only 2 third downs in the second half. That is how efficient they were on offense. And even on defense, they got, I think, 2 stops.
You want to know how efficient they were on defense? Here's a stat that'll ring your head. Ohio State yards before contact. You know what it was? 2.
What?
2 yards. 2 yards before contact.
I was going to say, because all of their big catches were like
even
their receivers, like even though, and it's crazy, Ohio State only scored 27 points, but had almost the same amount of yards as Michigan because Michigan didn't let them in the end zone.
Right.
And when they did, they killed so much clock and they were up 2 scores. And when you answer every touchdown with a touchdown, you can let them score. So... No, looking back on it, they could have played 50 quarters. Michigan's winning. They came.
Oh yeah, they could have played.
Ready.
You could play them next week. You could play them the week after. You could play them the week after. Michigan
they were the
wins
better
9
team.
out of 10 times.
And it was a lot of the reasons. It's why you picked them. I mean,
I know.
Stroud
I knew
had
Michigan
not
was a
faced a defensive front like Michigan's all season.
I knew exactly.
When they played Oregon, they didn't have Thibodeau. Okay, going against guys like Hutchinson and Ojabo, when you got that coming at you, he can never get comfortable. And he still threw well, but he missed a lot of throws. He missed a touchdown, I remember, on one to his tight end on one play.
Stroud looked very, very
He didn't
nervous.
look bad, but he didn't look like the Heisman candidate that we all thought he was because he wasn't that day because we didn't give him the chance to. I mean, it was... And just running the ball. I mean, that offensive line just murdered the Ohio State trenches. It was everything I wanted to be. It was everything I was promised from Harbaugh 7 years ago. And it took a while to get here, but now he's gotten here. He's going to go to Indy. He's going to beat Iowa. Spoiler, and has every chance to go to the college football playoff and has a chance to win it at the very least, especially depending on how things go. And I'll talk about this in a little bit because I have a very interesting, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or it could be an interesting way things turn out with that. But they could go to the CFP and realistically go against what? Okie State or Cincinnati? Oh, you go against either of those teams. Okie State's a little more unpredictable. You go against Cincinnati, though, you've booked a ticket to the final. So, yeah, I mean, it was great. Now, try to win a title this year, and let's keep beating Ohio State. That's all you can keep doing.
So again, I have something lined up for you. Okay, I have a couple questions specifically for you. Okay, this is an interrogation.
Okay.
So, not really. Anyways, so again, we've talked about how bad and how inept Harbaugh is, and I want to talk about James Franklin for a second, in a little bit, because that Michigan State game was incredible. But specifically with Harbaugh. One of the biggest talking points with Michigan this year was that Harbaugh was not fit to run as big of a program as Michigan is. Okay, he'd went 2, 3. They didn't win a single home game last year in the COVID season. Okay, but again, COVID season. Now Michigan has underperformed. Right, like you're supposed to be a national contender. You've not been a national contender. You've not beaten your biggest rival. in 6 years, you would not went to the college football playoff. Michigan State had, and they're the program that you're supposed to be better than. Michigan State had done everything that you said you would do.
Yep.
And then so when Harbaugh's contract is up, Michigan says we're not going to go out and get a better coach. We're not going to go out and try to be better. We're gonna stick with this guy for another year. Well, another few years. And we are going to,
but we're gonna pay him less.
Suck, right? We are going to pay him less. We're gonna give him a massive pay cut. But you got incentives if you do what we brought you here to do.
Right. Basically, earn what we were originally going to pay you because you haven't done that so far.
And again, like I'm sorry,
which is typically never a good sign.
That. And we've talked about that he did not deserve to come back. We've talked about that before. Now that he's beaten Ohio State, if Michigan goes out and beats Ohio State, okay, I mean, well, he's already done that. If he goes out and beats Iowa, which he should obviously win the Big Ten title game.
They're gonna. They're double-digit favorites. Last I checked.
Then he goes out and goes to the college football playoff. Okay, then he wins a game. Say Alabama. Say they play Alabama in the college football playoff. They go out and beat and win the semifinal. I think that they are a better team than Alabama. And I know that it's hard to bet against Nick Saban, but I will. I think that Michigan is a better team than Alabama this year. I think that they are deserving of their number 2 ranking. But what if he goes out and does that? Would you justify, say Michigan goes out and gives him a 10-year contract, would you support that?
That's a hard question.
Say it's okay.
This is okay. Let me
throw out a number for you. 10 years, $14 million.
Making him the second highest paid coach behind.
Mel Tucker just got 9.5.
Which, by the way, that move by MSU looks genius now in hindsight, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Notre Dame's out here losing Brian Kelly to LSU for 15.
All right, that's just insane to me. Also, fuck Brian Kelly. We'll talk about that.
I mean, yeah, we will.
So, yeah, I mean, man, 10 years, 14 million.
10 years, 14 million.
Is there a Is there? I assume there's a buyout.
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay,
I mean, if there is if there isn't.
Right. If they're giving him 10, my thing is what Harbaugh did was by winning that game, he basically bought himself some goodwill, right? He got, you know, when someone like is doing something wrong to you and you tell them, you can't keep doing this to me. This needs to stop. I need to see change. And they keep saying, I'm going to change. Oh, it's like that ex, like, I'm going to change, baby. I'm going to get better. I'm not going to do this to you. And then they keep doing the thing wrong. This is the first real time he said he was going to change, and he changed.
Yeah.
And so, and when you do that, you can forgive, right? Or you can start to forgive. It's the first step, and it's a very big first step. And if they win a national title this year, give him the 10-year. You can give him that contract. He's won a title.
Yeah, I don't think that they will, but I mean, you could say if. Yeah, you could say if they win. I
think really what they do is they would give him his old contract back.
I mean,
that would be like the biggest thing.
Fair.
So,
no team
if he wins the national title, I would be okay. Yeah. You're forgiven. It is. You're back to square one,
right?
Because I think the title balances out 7 years of failure. So you're back to square one. And when I say he's back to square one, I mean you're back to the day you got hired and all of that hype around you. Everyone was ready for you to come here and succeed. You're back to that. Now you got to still keep winning. That's the thing. It's like you win 7 years in a row and you have a bad year. I'll give you that bad year. He does not get the benefit of that bad year.
I mean,
he needs to do this again next year.
If you told me though that that Jim Harbaugh, say he doesn't win a national title this year, if you told me that Jim Harbaugh was going to win a title next year, year 8 of his contract, if you told me that, I would absolutely say that justifies $14 million a year, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what Michigan State is doing
all
right
you're
now,
here to
paying
do.
Mel Tucker $9.5 million a year, $95 million. What they are doing right now is saying, go out, win a natty right now. And I mean, I don't know, like that's something that Michigan State has not been able to do. Like, nobody perceives Michigan as a national title contender. And so that is why Michigan State right now is paying Mel Tucker the money, because they're like, make us a contender. Make us compete for that. And I mean, once you get to an 8-team, 12-team playoff, it's over. Michigan State absolutely has the ability to compete now because you just opened the playing field. And I think that field will get a lot less exclusive. But I mean, now, like, you know, I mean, this is what it takes. And just to kind of, I guess, lead it into what I want to talk about with Michigan State is really that this is the type of season that it would take for Michigan State if they want to do what they want to do, is a 10-2 season essentially to get into the playoff bare minimum. And I think that that's what you've seen. And I mean, Michigan, it's crazy. We're actually talking about sports, and both teams are good. We're talking about meaningful games in November. That is crazy.
Michigan State and Mel Tucker also deserve a lot of credit. You beat Michigan 2 years in a row. You went 10-2, only losing to a very good Ohio State team and the Purdue team. That Purdue loss is probably the worst. By the way, thanks. If you guys didn't lose that, Ohio State goes to Big Ten anyway.
And that is crazy to me too. That Big Ten tiebreaker is garbage. Come on, Michigan State and Ohio State have one difference.
I don't get my thing. Like, I really don't like. And I get so I know why this isn't in the tiebreaker. They have one difference in
opponent. Because Northwestern was worse, and Michigan State played them the first time. That was the first opponent. And that was when
Michigan also played Northwestern. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, Ohio State played Minnesota their first week. Michigan State played Northwestern in their first week. Both teams won. Because Northwestern finished worse than Minnesota, that is the cross-divisional difference in strength of schedule.
And
because
that would
the
have
other.
And it's
ridiculous.
It
just doesn't make sense to give the hands of the Big Ten East was in the Big Ten West.
And I was like, maybe we should just, that sentence right there is why it's a bad one. And I was like, well, maybe it should go overall record. And Ohio State would have been 10-2, Michigan State and Michigan would have both been 11-1, and then it would have gone down to their tiebreaker, and then MSU is beat Michigan, so MSU would go. But I get why, if you make that the rule, the issue is then you really lose the incentive to schedule tough games because there's all the risk of not going to the Big Ten title game. I feel like there's a better way to do it, and I don't like the way that they have.
This is a very, like,
maybe it should just
proposal.
Be total strength of schedule.
Well, I was actually gonna hear something. You want to hear something more simple?
Sure.
Just get rid of divisions. Here's my hot take.
Best
seriously,
2 teams.
Seriously, just do it like the Big 12. And I mean, the Big 12 doesn't have enough teams to justify divisions, but just don't do divisions because
let's face it,
the reason why the West is not won is because they don't have anyone there.
The Big Ten West has never won the Big Ten title.
It is
ever.
Not competitive.
Wisconsin won, but they weren't divisions yet. So the Big Ten West has never won the Big Ten.
If you put it was legends and leaders. If you put Ohio State in the Big Ten West, or you put Michigan, or you put Michigan State in the Big Ten West, like, you don't think that would force maybe Wisconsin to man up and get better? I mean, maybe, that would improve the, how, I don't know, you think about it, why did Michigan State start to be good? Because Michigan was so good for so long. And eventually, rolling around, Michigan State was like, why not put some effort into our football program? And they did, and they went to a national title playoff, whatever. You know what I mean? It just, that's how competitive, shit works. I think that if you force Wisconsin or Nebraska to play somebody, maybe they actually win a game. I don't know. It's not competitive enough to where, I don't know, like Nebraska at the end, like they fucked up a game to Iowa, and Iowa ends up going to the if Iowa doesn't win that cheap game against Nebraska, then Minnesota goes to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, honestly, I really wish it would have been. I would have rather gone against Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But
well, exactly.
But
well,
because
it would have been
they didn't do their jobs against Minnesota, so they don't.
Yeah.
They didn't go.
Right.
So
well,
yeah, no, but it was a great season for both the Michigan schools, and honestly, and I said this the other day, the state of Michigan needed this. So, and the great thing is that both, and the reason, like, even though I'm a Michigan fan, the reason I'm so happy that even Michigan State did well, Michigan did well, because I know Michigan State fans and I know Michigan fans, and all of us are probably Lions fans and fans of other Detroit sports.
Right.
We've been going through hell. It's been a horrific, 8 years, 9, 10 years now, whatever.
Oh, it has.
And this is just a really nice thing to have so much success in a football season, and Michigan really has a chance to go even further. And I just think that's just it's great for us. I'm happy for me. Damn it. But yeah. So speaking of Mel Tucker and potential Harbaugh contract extensions, this coaching carousel, man, has been so. Let's recap, huh? So Mel Tucker signed his deal, $9.5 million for 10 years. Those $9.5 million per year for 10 years. Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's so much money for Michigan State. Are you sure you want to give out to that? He's only had 1.5 seasons. Do you really want to?" Yeah. I bet they're real glad they did it now, because they were never going to compete with those offers. And it's funny because a lot of Michigan media here was like, "Oh, that's a lot of money for Mel Tucker," but then LSU went and got Brian Kelly and all that, and those were great moves. It's just ridiculous.
I think, and I want to say this about Lincoln Riley. I think that him moving on from Oklahoma. I love that move. God. Oh, I love that move. Oh boy, like I want USC to be a better team.
USC being good. USC being good is good for college football.
Oh,
That's
it is,
no doubt.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I think, you haven't given Oregon a chance to do anything in the last 10 years. Like, they got good, and then all of a sudden USC is like, bye-bye, not us again. So, like, I mean, USC doesn't even make a bowl game this year, but they were a preseason top 25 team. And so when you fail that much, you get rid of your coach and you bring in some guy that knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, and the last time USC was the Pete Carroll days, really.
Dude,
Reggie
I had
Bush
NCAA football 07 the last time that
they were.
That's what I was playing on my PlayStation 2 was
last time they were worth a damn.
Right. Well, exactly. And nowadays it's just like you got nothing. Yeah. God, it was so long ago. Such a good time. Georgia Tech was good.
I think the biggest thing though, right? I have no issue. If someone's only going to pay you what they think you're worth, and if those schools want to pay him that much, hey, get the bread, get the bag, make your money, man. Like, I get it. My issue. Well, I don't like Brian Kelly stuff either. I think he was a coward. That
pissed me off, and you knew it. I sent you that text. I was listening to 97.1 at the time, and I was just like listening to them like spew off the Brian Kelly stuff and how like those players got fucked over and all this.
Well, and that's my issue with it. It's not people trying to make their money. It's when they're being allowed to leave. I think there needs to be some sort of rule on if you're taking a new job. I mean, Notre Dame has a real chance of making the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Or had. We'll talk about that too. But they had a real chance of making the college football playoff. You got Okie State and you got Cincinnati ahead of you. And if Bama loses, right? If Bama loses, they're out. You could easily, All you need is for 2 of those 3 teams to lose, and you slot into the 4th slot. And that's not totally impossible to happen. So, yeah, it's just insane to me that this happened, and now those guys, like, it's just mind-boggling. And at least Oklahoma didn't have anything else to really play for other than a bowl game, which a lot of players are going to opt out for anyway.
But I think that, like, so I know that I've heard people talk about a potential period. Like if you
it's especially it's right before the signing day, so like who's going to sign with those schools?
Like like I've heard competitive like embargoes being talked about. Like that would be an interesting thing, right? Where like if some employers have it in place, right? Where if you work in a specialized field, you can't you can't work for a competitor for the next year or something like that. And I'm not asking for that.
It's the non-compete clause. A lot of jobs require it.
So what I mean, it's the same reason why I think that Jon Stewart was off of Comedy Central for so long, is that he had a non-compete clause that I don't think he could be out for a few years, and then he got a show on Apple TV Plus.
Right.
But and I don't know if that's true, but that's what it seems like, because there's no other reason why he'd leave for so long. But anyway, one thing that I do feel like would help is if the season wasn't considered over until the national title game is played.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And I think, like I don't know. It just feels like it makes more sense. And I feel like that's another reason why the idea of an expanded playoff, not necessarily to 12 teams, you could even do 8. I guess I'd be fine with 12. But the reason why I think that it's grown on me and the idea of it's grown on me is because college football games after December rarely matter. Like after like November, like they don't matter. Like, like maybe a team for years.
Well, it mattered for Michigan.
Yes. Well, yeah, but like after November, like you're not playing a regular season game. All you're playing is bowl games, and up until the college football playoff, like there was, all they were money. All it was entertainment and money. It wasn't like they were playing for anything or playing for anything that matters. If you bring in a playoff, then you have games that matter in December, and I feel like that's really good for college football. You have games that, because I was thinking about it too, and like, because my biggest problem with Brian Kelly is that his team, if Cincinnati, if Michigan, if Alabama loses, which is highly likely, Notre Dame
he would have been coaching in the college football playoff.
In a college football playoff game. And he leaves, and the game just doesn't matter. Like, the season isn't over. You shouldn't be allowed to leave.
And him, like, he came in, he called the team meeting. By the way, 100, these teams have like 100 players. 30 of them showed up. And the AD is like, Brian's going to come up and talk, and then I'm going to answer your questions. Kelly went up, talked for like 4 minutes, and then didn't let them answer any questions. We were like, oh, you wanted to talk for 2 hours? Like, no, I wanted to talk for 4 minutes, and then let the men in that room that he sat at their fucking their kitchen tables, their dining room tables, telling them that I'm going to be your coach and we're going to do what we can for the next 4 years, and that's why you should come play for me. And explain to them why he's leaving. He owes them that at the very least. And so for him to do this and leave so quickly, and again, while their playoff hopes are still very much alive, it just feels so insane to me. And by the way, this is every reason why the transfer portal and why players should be able to transfer with no penalty, because coaches can just leave with no penalty. So, it's kind of a shame. And I hope I hate Notre Dame, but I do feel bad for those guys who are on that team. And I hope I've never really liked Brian Kelly. I always thought he was an asshole. So I hope he loses and never amounts to anything in the SEC. By the way, speaking of that, Oklahoma going to the SEC now without Lincoln Riley is looking rough.
That is
the SEC.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going with Texas, who's not going to win a damn thing. They're going to be the new Arkansas, And Oklahoma without Lincoln Riley, yikes. Not looking great. But anyway, you want to talk about the NFL real quick?
I would love to. Actually, you want to start? Like, let's just let the only thing I want to cover. I don't know if you want to talk about Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, not a good move.
I'll make it real simple. Win a game, or you should absolutely be gone by the end of this year.
Dude
his
is
coaching decisions have
honestly, the fact that he hasn't won a game yet is grounds for firing. I would fire him right now.
I wouldn't fire him yet. You gotta win one, but like he's coached himself out of 3 wins, maybe 4 this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, he should at least have 3. And
you could go all the way back to the Ravens game when they didn't get aggressive on their last drive and gave Lamar Jackson, 48 seconds, which let them get into a granted an insanely long field goal range. But I'm for the one of you're the worst team. You got to go for the kill. And my thing is, he was so good. He was so good in that Rams game. Where is that Dan Campbell? If that Dan Campbell was out there every week, because it's not even the aggressive play calls. I'm not saying you got to fake every punt, but he really set a tone in that game of his aggressiveness,
right?
And he called the game perfectly. He was aggressive when he needed to be. The clock management was good. He passed in the right spots, ran in the right spots. When you're a coach on a team that, I get it, has no talent, this team is devoid of so much talent. All I want to see from you is to run the game right. Run it the way it needs to be ran. So that way when talent is here, you're doing things the right way. So that way I know when it's time to win games that your coaching is not going to cause us to lose games. And right now, it certainly looks like his coaching. And like I understand some of his play calls are probably also due to the limited talent, especially on offense, but that timeout fiasco is unacceptable. That is a fireable offense. And then the week before with the Browns was also a fireable offense with all of the 3rd and 32 draw plays, the 3rd and 14 draw plays. Against Pittsburgh, you ran a draw play 3rd and 9 on the 9-yard line when it was 3rd and goal. Like you gave up, and this is all after taking over play calling from Anthony Lynn, who, granted, I don't think has done a great job when he had the play calling.
No, but at least
Dan,
he has experience.
You don't play call. You were not brought here to call plays. You were brought here to get this roster to play, to hype, to be the leader of men, and to just run the game right. Everything else.
What's so funny to me is when people were like talking about how like Dan Campbell is players are playing hard for him. And I'm like, first off, they're professional. That's what they do. I'm sorry, but like if you're out here giving like fucking games because like they don't mean anything, get out of the NFL. This ain't for you. I'm sorry.
No, I'll say this. It's a very bad team. And especially with how young that locker, they're like one of the youngest teams in the league.
What are they going to do? Give up? Come on.
No, well, that's it's when things feel hopeless, it is easy for guys to lose lose motivation.
It's a lot,
but you are right. There's a lot of guys though that are like, if I got to show out because I know I'm not
also
shit on this team. If I want to keep a spot as a backup or a 4th receiver or a secondary slot receiver or a depth piece, I gotta keep trying. So you're right. Them playing hard for him matters a little. It's a very small factor.
To my point,
it's the other things I'm worried about.
How hard are they really playing? 3rd and 21, right? What do they do? First down. 3rd and 21. Wasn't it? Something like that. 3rd and whatever, fucking forever.
They had a 3rd and 34.
34. 30 fucking 4.
Or 32, yeah. It was like...
Whatever. I don't know. It's 20 plus.
Well, they didn't. They don't choose the play. I
guess.
It comes in to run a draw. They run a draw. Then that's on the offensive play caller, who is Dan Campbell. So either way, it doesn't matter. No, and I think people are just rough. Our defense is not very good, but our defense has held our opponents to under 20 points in the last 3 games. Granted, not against great offenses, but here's the thing.
They've been
and it's been against, 2 backup QBs, but I mean Andy Dalton is not great, but he's not David
time,
Blau.
Anything.
Well, and you're playing again, these are undrafted free agents,
right.
Even bad QBs could blow past. Yeah. Even bad QBs can easily pick them apart. I really think it's Aaron Glenn he's done a great job with this defense and how little talent it has.
If you want to get an insight into what the XFL is like, just watch the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just worse quality professional talent, essentially.
Anyway.
This game was rough. I want to do our a power ranking, NFL midseason power ranking. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it real quick.
Let's just jump into it.
Let's just jump into it. Who do you got at number 10?
At number 10, I have. Sorry, I got to scroll up to it because I texted it to you and didn't put it in the show notes.
Rams. I'll give you a hint.
I did have. I was going to say I thought it was Rams. Let's see. I'm going to find it here. We send a lot of messages to each other, but Rams. Yeah, I had the Rams. But, man, they are trending down. They're really close to not being in this spot.
Oh, I didn't even put them in.
And that's fair. I'm just keeping them there because they just have so much talent on both sides of the ball. I got to think they maybe get it right. But this is classic Stafford. Disappears in November and December. And, I've always liked the guy, and I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I've always been critical of him when he doesn't show up. And he has not showed up several times. And so far it's happening here. He's beaten one good team in the Bucs, but everyone else has been ugh.
So here is in 10. I got the Cowboys.
That's totally fair. I have them at 9.
And so they got to play New Orleans without their head coach. They play them tomorrow when this podcast comes up. And and it's not. It's not looking great. I mean, the offensive line isn't there. They don't look great. It's not looking good for them. Who do you have at 9?
I had the Cowboys.
Right.
Same reason. They're going to get their weapons back now. You got CeeDee Lamb back. Amari Cooper's back this week.
Fucking finally.
Yeah, I have CeeDee Lamb. I traded for him in fantasy, so we're both holding up. CeeDee Lamb had a concussion, and Cooper wasn't vaccinated.
Somehow I missed him in my roster, and I kept playing him. The last 2 weeks he's been out, I just kept playing him. Because the first week I messed up and I didn't take a deep look at it or whatever, I didn't see it or whatever, and I didn't hear about it. And then the second week I forgot because we hadn't recorded because of the holiday, and I usually do my fantasy around the time we record just to get them straight before Thursday. And at 9 I got Tennessee. Last week they got murdered by New England. They got injuries, and that's not looking great.
They're not. They're not even. I'll tell you this. They're not even in my top 10 because.
I see that, yeah.
And only it's not if it. They just lost AJ Brown. Julio Jones is injured. Derrick Henry's probably not coming back this year.
The only reason they are in here is because they're 8-4. That's the only reason.
And they have the record. I just don't think this is sustainable at all. And it's nothing against the team. It's just you got hit with the injuries, and I don't think you can keep up with the record you had. They were a really good team before they lost Henry, and it just kind of been downhill from there. But again, nothing against Tennessee. It's just you got dealt a shit hand this year. So
who you got at 8?
Bengals. They're weird. They're inconsistent at times.
I don't know how Pittsburgh goes out and loses 41-10. How does that happen?
That was a spanking. Well, the rivals, man, they don't care.
Yeah, and oh my God, I just don't understand because where the hell did they come from? Joe Burrow,
but they showed some good flashes, and then other games they just looked awful, like that game against the Browns. But Joe Burrow's good. That defense is a lot better than it was last year, and I'm gonna give them credit until they lose, until they full Bengal again. So.
At 8, I have Cincinnati as well. Who you got at 7?
I got the Bills. I mean, they're weird. This whole NFL season's been weird. Let's just be real. No one's been who we thought they were going to be, except maybe the Packers.
Right.
And the Cardinals a little bit, but I think they've even exceeded. But like the Bills lose to Jacksonville, but then like they come out and they smack some good opponents. Yeah. So it's really weird. I'm gonna chalk it up to just weirdness in the NFL and some up down theory. But I still think the Bills are gonna be a playoff team. Probably not. Yeah. But you know what the wild thing is?
What?
I think they're gonna be a wild card team.
Yeah, I mean I would agree with that. I have the Bills.
No one was betting on that.
I have the Bills at 7 as well. Yeah, I mean they've just been kind of here, kind of there. Yeah, I mean again, like the last game was great. Like they beat New Orleans by a shit ton of points, but I mean,
New Orleans
at the same time, like they're very
lost their quarterback. Kamara wasn't playing.
Right, exactly.
Like that game was against a bunch of dead bodies as far as I was concerned.
Exactly.
I played Tony Jones in fantasy, who was the third string running back for the Saints. Yeah, that bit me in the ass. So
who do you have at 6?
The Ravens. I feel kind of weird about this one. I almost feel like I should have put them lower now.
So I actually don't have them.
They are the most up down team in the NFL. Yeah. They are never consistent. I mean, you almost lose to the Lions, and then you beat other teams that are good by a lot. I mean, granted, that Bears game they didn't have Lamar, but last game Lamar throws 4 interceptions, and here's the funny thing: Lamar has 4 games where he's thrown 2 or more picks, including this last one where he threw 4 against the Browns. They're 4-0 in all those games. God. Rarely are you able to throw that many interceptions and be successful, but the the Ravens find a way, man. It's crazy. So
that is, I mean, it is really inconsistent. I have the Ravens a little higher, but at 6 I have the Chiefs. Now I know they've been playing better as of late, but and the defense has kind of held its own. And they've been undefeated in November. So if they continue to, if the offense continues to be there, I think that they are going to they're going to be a team to look out for if they start trending in the right direction.
Yep, I have the Chiefs at 5. I know everyone's like, "What's happening to the Chiefs?" Really, it comes down to is Frank Clark playing, because he is Chris Jones playing. He is the difference maker on that defense, and I mean, and let's be real. I mean, they have all the weapons. They got Edwards-Helaire and Williams are two nice backs to have. You have the best tight end in football. You have Tyreek Hill, who's one of the fastest players in the league. Like, it's just the team is set up for success, and I think they've kind of found their groove again. And they're in a division that's not great. I mean, the Raiders are the definition of up and down. The Chargers can't get out of their own way. They can't stop charging. And the Broncos, I mean, Vic Fangio is their offensive coordinator. So, I think the Chiefs will be fine. They'll make a playoff spot easily. And that's all that you need. You just get in the playoffs with a chance. So
at 5, I got the Patriots. I didn't know what they would be. I didn't know. I had no idea. They're 8-4. They sit at 8-4. They got Mac Jones, and again, it's perfect example of a team that could just plug and play. And and again, like that's a good system to have. That's why you don't see top 5 quarterbacks. Teams that take top 5 quarterbacks in the playoffs or be successful in January, and if they do, it's very rare. So the Patriots are one of those teams that does not take a quarterback top 5. Why? Because they don't pick in top 5. Because they're not a bottom 5 team ever. So they're again at number 5, and they've played pretty well. They play Buffalo on Monday Night Football next week, and they just killed Tennessee. So I am all here for the Patriots. Everyone's gonna hate that, but Mac Jones is. He's a guy that's here to be there.
He's kind of real, man.
He is.
Real. I got at 4. I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
They look. I'm a little concerned about the Bucs. I think they look a little out of sorts sometimes when they're facing real teams. Brady, I'm never betting against Brady. Don't get me wrong. He just doesn't look. he's looked mortal at times this year. Other times he looks great, but when he's going against some good opponents, that Rams game looked mortal. Against the Colts looked. I mean, granted, that was more of a defensive issues in that game, which is part of the problem. I mean, Brady's not the whole team, so. Yeah, I mean it's a big it's kind of up in the air, but right now they're still at 4 until they fall off a cliff.
I got the Ravens at 4, and the only reason really is because of the record, and I think that they're luckier than their record suggests that they are. But I mean, I guess that's the thing about luck. They just keep finding. I guess they just keep finding ways to win. Like the Lions thing. What the hell? You know what I mean? Like it's just somehow like whether it was against the
Browns,
Ravens
are on the opposite end of it, and it's funny because they both that happened in one of the games.
Well, exactly. And so like now they play Pittsburgh, and this is gonna be a real test. I don't know if they win, but whatever. It's I mean, again, they're just a wild piece. Who do you got 3?
I have the Patriots. I think they're the best team. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Because you don't bet against Bill Belichick. No, I mean, that defense looks like a Patriot. It's funny. They got Matt Patricia back this year as a defensive assistant.
I saw that.
Maybe we were wrong to let him go, man.
Fucking hell.
Maybe he just needed a little more time.
Babysat by Belichick again.
He is. That's Belichick's defense, 100%. He's just, he plays a hard-ass minion for Belichick. I hate Matt Patricia. And I hate to say it because he'll probably get another Super Bowl ring this year. But
I mean, he probably will. I got Tampa Bay at 3. They haven't looked. I don't. What? Yeah. Go on.
I was just gonna say the reason I have them above like Tampa is just like I really hope that's the Super Bowl. Belichick versus Brady. Oh, that would be so sweet.
That would be sick.
But no, I mean, simply put, like that defense is back to the Belichick level, and the offense is going. I mean,
that's fair.
Mac Jones is completing 70% of his passes.
That's insane. I mean, that's
what
insane.
more can you ask of a rookie?
No. I mean,
he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Wasn't he the first rookie to complete 90% of his passes in a game?
Yeah, I mean, granted, there was ridiculous. A lot of check downs, but it doesn't. Whatever.
So I got Tampa Bay at 3. And again, the record is 8-3, but that's Brady, right? Like he doesn't. I don't think he loses more than 4 games this year. Yep. But again, like I don't know, and also their schedule is pretty relatively easy. Next week they play fucking Atlanta. They just played Indianapolis, and so they've been.
They play their division is garbage. I mean, the Saints are broken to hell. Panthers have the corpse of Cam Newton. And the Falcons, I mean they're kind of bouncing back, but then they have other weeks where they literally don't score touchdowns.
There's a chance that Brady wins out. Honestly, there's a pretty good chance that he just wins out because they don't have anyone to play. Who do you get at 2?
At 2, I mean Cardinals. I mean best record in the NFL. The only reason they're not at 1 is these injuries that have been going. I mean, they've won without Kyler. That's really impressive. Yeah. But these injuries are weird, and I also still I don't trust Cliff Kingsbury in December. He always, every season, he falls off a cliff right around this time.
Oklahoma wants him.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Arizona might be making depending on how the season goes. Arizona might be making a counter offer. So
that would be so rough.
But yeah, I got the Cardinals. They just got all the talent. Defense when they're healthy as a team, they're as stacked as anyone. So Cardinals.
I got the Packers at 2. So last week they beat the Rams, and that was a big win for them.
When Stafford gives you a free touchdown, it's pretty easy.
Imagine what this team could be when they're healthy. Like, imagine what they'll be when they're healthy.
I mean, they're healthy now. I mean, Rodgers has a hurt foot, but that's fair. I guess Aaron Jones is still a little.
Right,
and they're missing a few defensive pieces.
Right?
Yeah. I almost forgot. I forgot about him.
Smith
That's
too.
My bad. Yeah. And the defense has played as a top 5 unit without Za'Darius Smith, and even played pretty well against.
Right. I mean, imagine what they would do.
Yeah.
That's fair. Who do you got at 1?
I got the Packers. Okay. Really, I mean, for that, I didn't even think about the health. It's just Matt LaFleur is an elite play caller. He's been a great coach for them, and Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I hate his guts as a Lions fan, and also here's the thing: I actually didn't hate.
I hate him.
I did not hate Aaron Rodgers that much. I mean, I hated him the day that stupid fucking Hail Mary happened, where he got the hands to the face thing that happened, which it was a phantom call, and then they got Hail Married. That one I hated. I didn't like him that day, but I've always thought he's funny, he's charismatic, seems like a good enough guy, if not a little pretentious, because he's definitely pretentious. But I never hated him like a lot of Lions fans do. But then after the whole vaccine shit, and it's not because he's anti-vax or he didn't get vaccinated, right? He didn't want to get that vaccine. I don't even hate him because of that. I just hate the dog and pony show he put on and the way he like self-aggrandized himself to be the victim. I was just like, dude, come on. This is just, no, fuck you. I just can't anymore. And so I want him and his stupid haircut to not win. But right now they're the best team in the league, and I can't deny it. So that's my number one.
For me, I got who else? The Cardinals.
Yep. They're 1-2. Like they're going to be fight at this point. I mean, really, a lot of people can still win that 1 seed in that first round bye, but those two are the leaders right now.
So what? I mean, honestly, to justify my reasoning, what more do you have to say other than Oklahoma is interested in Cliff Kingsbury? That's literally all you have to tell me. Put him at 1. I mean, they look and honestly,
he's played and he's done great. I
really hope they win a Super Bowl. For no other reason than I want someone new to win a Super Bowl. That's literally it.
That's fair. Like I said, I think if the Rams don't win, I either want them, and I'd be fine with the Chiefs just because I'm tired of people thinking
the Chiefs can't do it.
Yeah, like Mahomes isn't all that. And I'm like, can we fucking stop with this?
Right, yeah.
So I don't want it to be the Bucs again.
NFL power ranking. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, it was a good time. Let's take a quick break, and then we got a slate of games to pick for championship weekend. And I have an interesting conspiracy for you, Brad, and we'll get into that
I can't
next.
Wait. All right, guys, so here's the deal. I'm 25. I'm a guy. You know how it is. I record a podcast. That's what 25-year-old white guys do. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. I don't know if you've heard of Anchor. It's free. You can record, edit your podcast right from your phone. I do it from my computer. And Anchor actually distributes your podcast for you. Spotify, Apple, many, many more. There's all kinds of podcasts that I have sites I haven't even heard of. It's the real deal, folks, and you can get it for free. Go to anchor.fm or get the free Anchor app.
All right, Brad. Here's the deal. Before we get into the picks, I have a very interesting thing for you with the college football playoff. For those of you who don't know, Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Cincinnati are the top 4 with Okie State, Notre Dame, Ohio State. That is the ranking right now. My conspiracy, Brad. Georgia beats Bama, right? Okay, Bama's out. So now you got Michigan. Or sorry. Bama beats Georgia, right? So Bama and Georgia are in. Michigan wins their Big Ten title game. They're in. So there's 1 through 3, right? Most likely. And then, right, let's say Cincinnati loses. They're out. They lose, they're out. Easy. Okie State loses. They're out. Notre Dame doesn't have a game, but we've already heard from Gary Berta that he said the fact that they don't have, which is stupid because they're punishing the players for this, but the fact that they no longer have Kelly means it will affect their CFP ranking. Well, that is 4, 5, and 6. Who's number 7, Brad? Ohio State. What if? Tell me the committee wouldn't jump at this idea. You have Michigan versus Bama at 2 and 3. Or sorry, Michigan versus Georgia at 2 and 3. Bama at 1, Ohio State at 4. And you could potentially have the rivals face each other in the final again. Does that seem like, I know they're 2-loss, but it doesn't feel impossible to happen. If what I just explained happened, do you still, now in realist, I don't know. So this is under the assumption Cincinnati and Okie State lose, right? Which could happen, but I don't think will. Is there any chance that they overlook Notre Dame due to the coaching situation and put Ohio State in? And I know, because Baylor, I don't think they'd put Baylor in.
No, absolutely not. I don't know how you would. So everyone has to remember, too, that the rankings are not akin to the AP rankings. So the AP rank, and I've discussed this in our previous episodes, but the AP rankings are very much like reactions to themselves. So like, and a lot of the time, the reason it's like that is because it's fundamentally different from the way that they grade, right? So like in the AP ranking, like you have a bunch of fucking journalists like me who go down and sit down and rank every single team from 1 to 25, okay?
Right.
And 25th constitutes a point, 24th is 2 points, 20, and so on until you get to first, which is 25 points. So to get a unanimous 25 ranking, that would be 25 times however many people vote, 60 something, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway,
whereas the committee is going in and picking
exactly because what a lot of these assholes will do is they'll week by week they'll just like move pieces up and down, and a lot of the time it just reacts to each other because that's how these people are grading themselves, is they're basing it off of last week, right? They're using last week's thing to justify this week's ranking. Whereas like with the CFP, they go in and they rank each team against each other, which is not as easy to do in a setting where you're thinking about it just you. Right? Like if you're just doing you, like it's you're not really comparing teams to teams other than the teams that are like around them. Whereas it's more of a discussion in the CFP committee room. So a lot of the the people they're more likely to give a shit in a way that's like you're gonna probably see like if you think that Wisconsin is better than Iowa, well, you can't put Wisconsin ahead of Iowa because Iowa is in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? So
right.
there's that sort of metric to it, right? So like I can't put Michigan State above Michigan at one point in the week because Michigan State beat them. Like, you know what I mean? Like if they win the head-to-head, like there's got to be other things that indicate that they can be ahead of them. And obviously later games can prove that. And they did. And so, I mean, what you get is it's a mixed bag. But I don't know if Baylor gets in, I guess, to answer your point, because like,
I guess my thing is like it would either be Notre Dame or Ohio State, but I feel like can it really be Ohio State with 2 losses and no championship? That just feels wrong.
It does.
To me.
The weird thing though, so like I would actually not be surprised if they put Baylor in because teams have gone from like 12 or 11 into the playoff, and it's not like, again, it's just because it's not a reaction to the week before. Like this past week's rankings have nothing to do with the rankings that come out next week. Like they are just a here and now, this is what they are. Whereas like, like any team can jump any team based on what happens. Like if you think that Baylor is a better team now than the other 126 teams in the country, then put Baylor at number 4. Like if you think that they are better than the rest of the teams, then put Baylor at number 4. Like it just depends on how you view them and what you are now. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's, again, like a team can jump from 10 to 4. That's not impossible.
Right.
And if they beat Oklahoma State, I would not be surprised.
I just thought it was interesting, but we got to see how these. I mean, this might all be for nothing. We got to see how these games actually play out.
You want to get into them?
Yeah, let's do it. So let's just to preface.
Start.
We're at 31 points.
Okay.
You're at 33. I'm at 31. These are out of 59.
And you are gaining.
I am, but you're 56% on your picks for the year. I am 53%. So we're doing all right. We're above. We're above the. We're making money.
I did want to preface for everyone, too, that we are doing college football as a pick'em this week because it is not fun to do spreads in championship matchups. I just don't see the point. It's not like these are random games. They're like championship games. So I feel like there's a lot more at stake for teams. And it's, like Cincinnati might be a 20-point favorite. Wouldn't be surprised if Houston goes out and wins. No, I would just not be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
No, but I want to start with Big Ten championship game. Okay, it's Saturday, 8 p.m. on Fox. We got Iowa versus Michigan and Indy. Who you got?
Michigan, easily. I think if they lose this game, this might be Harbaugh's worst loss of his career. Worse than trouble with the snap. Worse than any of the blowouts. It's Michigan. It's got to be.
I don't know how you can't see anyone else.
You can't blow this. Iowa cannot function on offense. Don't turn the ball over. You win the game. It's that easy.
Absolutely. So the Pac-12 championship is actually on Friday at 8 p.m. on ABC.
Friday game. So is our boy Zappy is on Friday as well.
Yeah, that one we'll get to in just a moment. But Pac-12 championship, Oregon, Utah. Utah won the regular season matchup. Who you got?
God, this is hard. I'm gonna go Oregon.
You're gonna go Oregon. Okay.
I don't know. I realize they don't really have a lot. I mean, you play for a championship, right? So there's still something to play for, but there's no playoff aspirations.
No, absolutely
I think they bounce back. I know Utah's good, but I just feel like Oregon is better than they were in that game, and I think they'll get some revenge on this. So I'm gonna go Oregon.
Again, it's I don't. Oh, hold on. I totally. I got used to putting the same thing in.
We normally are.
My bad. We got Mountain West. This is, again, I put all of the group of 5 games all together just because, why not? So
Utah State. Can't say I've been watching some Utah State this year, Brad. Sorry. I will actually take those San Diego State. I've actually seen some San Diego State. I think they're a better team.
I honestly do too. This game.
What is the spread on that? Like, can I just pick the favorite and go with that?
Yeah, right. What is the spread? Oh my god.
I'm checking right now, but
that's hilarious.
San Diego State. Let's find it. FanDuel Sportsbook, not affiliated with us. We're not
affiliated. No, we are not sponsored.
So yeah, San Diego State is a 6.5-point favorite. So it's not like a big spread, but I'll still take San Diego State because I feel like I've seen some film of them and they've been okay. So anyway.
So if I were betting the spread on this game, or not even a spread, if this was like an actual pick'em worth like more points, or if I was taking like the money line, I would take Cincinnati for the AAC, the American Athletic Conference game. This is Saturday at 4 p.m. on ABC. I think I'm going to pick Houston because he's only worth a point, so I feel a little bit more relaxed. But this is 100% a passion pick. I want Houston to upset Cincinnati. Really
I used to be in that boat with you until I had a dog in the game, and now I desperately want to face. I want Michigan to go against Cincinnati in the first round. So I'm go Bearcats. I'm taking Cincinnati. Perfect. But if Michigan was not going to the playoff, I would 100% spite pick Houston with you. I would be with you. But this is for my own personal game. I'm picking Cincinnati. I'm manifesting that.
So next one we got is Conference USA. We got Western Kentucky and UTSA. UTSA, I believe, or no, was it? Didn't they just lose their first game? This one's Friday at 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. They didn't even get CBS. So I'm gonna take Western Kentucky because I love Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, give me Western Kentucky. I don't care if UTSA is the favorite.
Oh my god.
Yeah, give me Bailey Zappi. I want to see him throw for 1,000 yards.
You know what I did not put on here? I didn't put the MAC game. Oh no, we got it.
Isn't it Lombardi time?
It is. Oh my god. So we got to do it. This one how'd I miss it? Oh, you know why I missed it? Because
this is in our backyard, Ford Field.
I don't know why.
It's Northern Illinois and Kent State.
Kent State and Northern. Illinois. Who you got?
Give me Northern Illinois, dude. Rocky Lombardi season. Let's fucking go, dude.
I am going to also take Northern Illinois, and you know why? Because
gonna play in that god awful stadium.
So I'm gonna break down the MAC for you real quick. So the MAC is a lot like the Big Ten in the sense of like the MAC, what is it, like North or something like that, is a lot better than the MAC South or something. I don't know. Anyway, whatever Northern Illinois is a part of is the same as Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and Western.
The better teams in that.
Right.
In
well,
that
exactly.
division.
So you think about, like, I mean, I know that again, it's the MAC. So like Northern Illinois 8-4, Kent State 7-5, two very different teams. Although Kent State is the betting favorite. So maybe I just don't know anything about the MAC.
No, give me Northern Illinois. Rocky Lombardi all day.
I'm also gonna take Northern Illinois.
So all right, let's get back to real football.
Real football, yeah. So let's do the Big 12. Baylor, Oklahoma State. Who you got?
I think I gotta go Oklahoma State. Baylor has a chance here, but I think Oklahoma State is. I think they're that good. Like they. Here's the thing.
They look good.
If Oklahoma State looks good in this game, and like, let's say we have the normal amount, right?
Right.
We have the let's say Bama's in, Georgia's in, Michigan's in, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it could be right now. And I think if Oklahoma State looks good in this game, even if Cincinnati wins, I think Oklahoma State could sneak in because I think the committee hates those Power Fives, or they hate the other.
Group of five.
The Group of Five schools.
Yeah.
I think I could see it. So we'll have to see. But
let's move on to the ACC. We got Pittsburgh, Wake Forest. This is the very first ACC championship game in North
without
Carolina.
Clemson?
Not to feature Clemson, but also, do you know it's the first one since 2015 not to feature Clemson. Do you know who won the ACC championship in 2015?
Nope.
Florida State. Do you know who the quarterback for Florida State was?
Jameis
Winston.
Yeah,
that is the last time that the ACC had a non-Clemson winner.
Won. Didn't he win the Heisman that year?
He did. And so we got Pittsburgh, we got Kenny Pickett, and Wake Forest, where Kenneth Walker III transferred out of. Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, who you got?
This is hard. I think a lot of people want to say Wake. I got to go Pittsburgh. Give me Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, so do I. I can't. I don't know how. Like, I
don't
can't pick
like Wake Forest. I don't
Nobody
like
does.
them.
They haven't played
They were
anyone.
never real. Everyone was saying, when they were
lost
they
to
should
North Carolina. So like, I don't care about them.
Yeah, they're way worse, I think, than their record really is. So, all right,
finally,
this is the big one.
Boys.
This is for all the marbles. This is
College Game Day, Saturday, 4 p.m. CBS. Georgia, Alabama. Who you got?
So I think the best case scenario for a Michigan fan, you root for Georgia, because if Bama wins, I think Michigan faces Georgia in the semifinal. I don't want that. I understand. I probably got to face Georgia, but I'd rather do it in the finals. At least let me win and be in the finals. If I lose there, it sucks, but at least to get there is a big deal. That's a banner year. So I would rather do that. I don't want to face Georgia in the semi. I am rooting for Georgia heavily this weekend. And also because chaos. It would be so chaotic. Like, who gets it? Because Georgia and Michigan are the only guarantees at that point. Cincinnati, if they win. But then, is it Bama or is it Okie State? Like, there's a lot here that can happen. It's going to be a very interesting time. This is going to be a very different-looking college football playoff. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited, too.
It's not the same 4 teams. Not Ohio State. It's not Bama. Could potentially not be Bama. And it could not be Clemson.
Right, exactly.
And Oklahoma even. Teams. Oklahoma's been in most years. So yeah.
All right. Let's move on to some NFL stuff. We got Cowboys Saints. Who you got?
Cowboys. I mean, Saints are dead. They got a bunch of corpses out in the field. Kamara's back, sure. But they have Taysom Hill playing quarterback. Sorry, Saints, you lose 11 out of 11 there. So Chargers go ahead.
No, go ahead. Chargers Bengals. Who you got?
Chargers. They have been the definition of an up-down team. The Bengals are good, but I don't know. Chargers are the definition of up-down theory. They'll have a great week, and then Herbert has been the most frustrating quarterback in fantasy because some weeks he'll score 40 and other weeks he'll score 15 and throw two interceptions.
That is right. I mean, you know what's funny though? He did get 19 for me. And you know what?
Oh yeah, he did get up to 19, but he did. I lost by 5 points and he threw 2 interceptions. That's 4 right there.
Right.
And he could have scored a touchdown.
Do you know who? Remember when I told you before DK Metcalf played on Monday that I needed him to get me 20 points? Dude was a fucking corpse.
It wasn't DK's fault. That was all in Seattle's awful offense and Russell Wilson.
I had to check
hurt.
that the dude was alive. You could have put
One
a
catch
dead
for
guy
13
out
yards.
there, and the dude would have produced
yards.
more. I was so pissed. 2.5 points from me. That was so bad. Anyway, so we got I got the Bengals, and the only reason I'm saying Bengals right now is because
no, it's a fair pick. I'm going with the field.
I don't know how they keep putting up like 70 points on people. I didn't know that they were capable of that. I'm not gonna lie, but they did that, and I don't know. I'm gonna stick with them. They seem hot right now. Ravens Steelers. Who you got?
Ravens. I mean.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson
feels
baby.
like a game that will be closer than it should be, but I still think the Ravens win. The Steelers the only thing is the Steelers have played really well against their competition, they're their rivals. Oh well, I guess aside from the Bengals, but I feel like they hate the Ravens more, so it'll be closer, but I still think the Ravens win it.
Patriots Bills.
God, I feel like I'm a hypocrite if I pick the Bills because I just said all those nice things about the Patriots.
Yeah, probably.
It's in Buffalo.
Yeah,
New England doesn't give a shit about the cold, though, so that's not a factor.
No, they don't.
Oh, that's hard. I'm going to say Bills. This is under the assumption that the Bills defense shows up. Jones hasn't played. I don't think he's played in any insane defense. Tennessee has a good defense, but half of them are injured. So I think him playing. I mean, granted, the Bills did just lose Tre'Davious White, so that's gonna make it easier for Mac Jones. I'm gonna still stay Bills. I'm gonna up down theory. I think Bills will come out and have a really nice week this week, especially because they know how they hate the Patriots. Patriots have made the Bills' lives hells for so long, and I think they know how much is at stake in this game. You got to win this to keep your hold in at least winning this division. So I for this week I will say. I'll say Bills. I'm not super confident in it, in case you couldn't tell.
So I'm gonna go with the Patriots this week, just because, they are. First off, I want to go against you, but also I think that the Patriots are good. I really do. And
they are.
People don't
they're
want to
legit.
That, but
if the Bills win, they're gonna have to beat a good team. Straight up.
That's fair. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills lose, I guess. I mean the Bills win. I wouldn't be surprised if either happens. This
is the definition of a coin flip.
Right, exactly. Anyone can show up. And I think Mac Jones, I just love the kid.
He's great. It's insane how good he has been.
Yeah, he is. Griff, we got 3 minutes. What do you want to say?
I just am very excited that we're finally going to get Michigan's finally gonna get a Big Ten championship.
So I want to mention this before we go, and I did not mention this during the show. Okay.
Okay.
And no disrespect to anyone, whatever. So I'm a Michigan State fan, right? Michigan State hat, got it on.
Yep.
So there are a good number of Michigan State fans who are rooting for Iowa to win, because that way, you
they hate
say,
Michigan.
Well, here's the thing though. If Iowa wins, Michigan State likely doesn't go to a New Year's Six bowl, and there are Michigan State fans who would rather root against that.
Yeah, the rivalry, spite.
So
yeah, and I think that's a little silly.
That is lame. That is so lame. Why would you do that? Like, I can't be that type of, because here's the thing. If you
I get you hate when your rival succeeds, but like,
you don't have to root for
not
them,
when it spites yourself.
So
like, don't actively root for something that hurts
Michigan.
you.
I'm not going to root for Michigan. I'm also not going to root against them because I don't care. Now, here's the thing. I think that for Michigan and Michigan State, and I'm going to sum this up in quick thought, real quick. I think that Michigan State should not care about what Michigan does, right? Because if they really want to be successful, then they don't give a shit. Just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If you really want to get to the places that you want to go, then Michigan's success will have zero impact on you. Then you need to make sure that what you do does not leave what Michigan does up to your standing, right? Like, if Michigan were to lose, like, you should be rooting for Michigan to win, right? Because Michigan State gets a better bowl game. Like, they could go to the Fiesta Bowl. That's a big
which
one
they've never gone to.
Right,
it's the only one they haven't gone to.
And exactly. And I think that it is silly to, again, because I have said this before, I am done comparing both, because I think that Michigan State has gotten to a place in this rivalry where they have won 10 of 14 games. They've dominated it so far. The only place they have to go to now is up and up. Just whatever. It's time for Ohio State to come on. Bring it on. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
It's fair.
Cap on that.
Well, everyone, the Red Wings won tonight, so it's a great day for America.
Love that. They've been winning a lot lately.
They have. We're not going to do a Red Wings show because I like when people listen and don't immediately turn us off.
Exactly.
If the playoffs come around, we'll do a little overview on them. So, but no, it's an exciting weekend. Be smart with your bets. I hope your team wins, unless sorry, Bama, need you to lose. And Cincinnati, I hate you, but please win. And Michigan, Harbaugh, don't blow it. I don't think they will. I think it's going to be fine. Everyone, have a great weekend. Be smart with your bets. Remember to set your lineups for fantasy. And as always, make your free throws.